Badminton World. We're at the halfway mark in the 2011 OSIM BWF World Superseries, with 6 of the 12 high-profile tournaments already behind us. It's a perfect time to take stock of what's transpired in the BWF's marquee series. So here's an action-packed review of the season so far. The year began in Malaysia, its capital city of Kuala Lumpur, giving the BWF Super Series a season opener it deserved, with the big crowds whipping up an electric atmosphere.
It's a new era for badminton, and I think this Malaysian Open, it was Malaysian Open in 2007 that kicked the Super Series off. It was the first ever Super Series event. It was a huge success then.
2011 Proton Malaysia Super Series is a grand homecoming for this man. The world's #1 player, Lee Chong-wei, lapping up all the affection showered by local fans. Among his main challengers at the Malaysia Super Series was 2010 World Champion Chen Jin, a Chinese 25-year-old carrying some good form into the new season. The World Championship win last year has special meaning for me, because this is the first individual World Championship that I've won. 2010 was a very satisfying year. Our team won the Thomas Cup. I won the World Championship singles title, and China won the Asian Games in Guangzhou. But I was disappointed losing to Lee Chong-wei in the semis of the singles event. But out here in Malaysia, former Olympic champion Taufik Hidayat represents the biggest threat to Lee Chong-wei. The all-conquering Indonesian beating Kenichi Tago and Simon Santosa to set up an appearance in the final. The women's singles draw was dominated by Chinese players, with the title fight taking place between Wang Xishan and Wang Yihan. Xishan in the far court drawing first blood. In the second game, Xishan won 9 points in a row to end up at the cusp of a big win.
This time, 21-18, 21-14. A comfortable win in the end for Wang Xishan, the Asian Games gold medalist.
In the men's singles final, Hidayat had made it through a tough draw to play the darling of the Malaysian fans. Lee Chong-wei riding the crowd support to win the first game by a whopping 21-8 margin. It wasn't long before the Indonesian was staring at an imminent defeat. Lee Chong-wei having 3 championship points.
Pushed it wide. And a 4th consecutive title for the world #1 Lee Chong-wei. His 7th title in total here at the Malaysia Open.
The action now shifted to the Republic of South Korea. Its spectacular capital city of Seoul primed for the first of 5 elite Super Series premier events. And with an astronomical sum of $1.2 million on offer as prize money, this tournament has certainly raised the stakes for the players.
There's one, big aspect, and that is that the best players are present. That is what I want to do. I want to play against Lin Dan and Chong-wei and the other best players in the world every tournament. We have to fight against each other to find out who's the best. So that's what I like. Now we have the Premium Super Series, maybe a step up. Everybody will be here, and I think that's a good idea. We just need to get the prize money like this every time.
China's Lin Dan was among those vying for the big prize. The reigning Olympic champion playing another one of the sport's modern greats, Taufik Hidayat, in what was a blue ribbon quarter-final. And the Indonesian nicked a game off Lin before the Chinese player got up 5 match points in the decider. Lin beating his arch-rival for a spot in the semis. The women's singles draw saw Wang Yihan and Wang Xishan both make their second final of the 2011 Super Series.
retribution after losing the Malaysian title to her compatriot. After Yihan went one game up, the pressure took its toll on Shishan. Her opponent just 1 point away from winning her first BWF Super Series in 2011. Magnificent win for Yihan. The Chinese shuttler winning it 21-14, 21-18. The 22-year-old fully deserving the $90,000 cash reward. The men's singles final featured world #1 Lee Chong-wei, the Malaysian facing China's Lin Dan, a player who's beaten him 14 times in 21 meetings. Both players took a game apiece, the third witnessing a few breathtaking exchanges between two of the world's best shuttlers. To restore parity at 14-all. Lee kept his wits about him, the Malaysian world #1 holding his own against his big-hitting opponent. But there wasn't much else going Lee's way. Lin Dan winning 5 points in a row to grab the title. Truly outstanding win for Lin Dan. The maverick left-hander running towards the Chinese corner of the crowd. The 27-year-old winning the first ever BWF World Super Series Premier title in Korea. Coming up on Badminton World, the oldest and most prestigious tournament in the world. All the happenings from the 101-year-old All England Super Series Premier up next. We resume our mid-season review of the 2011 BWF Super Series in Birmingham. The Yonex All England Super Series Premier pulling in the crowds just as it's been doing for the past 101 years. This is a tournament that past players remember with great fondness. Those fortunate enough to be crowned champions, giving the All England trophy a place of pride on their mantelpiece.
Well, you know, All England is the tournament. It's the biggest tournament that we have. Before we had the World Championships, this was recognized as the World Championships as well. It's got a very important history of badminton, also linked to this tournament. So, winning this tournament that is something that you, well, are being recognized for.
Denmark's Paul Erik Høyer is one of the few to have won this prestigious title twice. The former world #1 also striking gold at the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. And the current president of Badminton Europe himself admits that his first All England victory had a lot to do with his coming of age as a player.
When I did that the first time in '95, I mean, I was maybe among the best, but I was not the best at that time. So that really gave me the boost, and also gave me the belief that this is actually possible, that I can be #1 in the world.
34-year-old Peter Gade also came to Birmingham fully aware of what it means to have won here. The 1999 All England champion, carrying the flag of Danish badminton for more than a decade. But Gade had his work cut out at this year's competition. The Danish veteran playing his quarter-final match against 5th seed Chen Long.
That's one along the back line.
And Gade was simply overwhelmed by the Chinese star. Chen serving up a clinical performance to win 21-12, 21-12.
Converts on his first opportunity, does the #5 seed Chen Long against the #4 seed, the former champion Peter Gade of Denmark.
Fast forward to the day of the finals, with the women's singles lineup springing a bit of a surprise. Japan's Eriko Hirose had beaten the likes of Saina Nehwal to get to the final. The 26-year-old looking to make the most of the occasion. Her opponent, Wang Xishan, was hardly expected to roll over. The Chinese player up 2 championship points.
The world #1 confirms that status as the world's best by taking the Yonex All-England title. The first ever Premier Super Series events in Europe.
The men's singles event was blessed with a dream finale. Lee Chong-wei and Lin Dan both keeping their date with the All-England final, much to the delight of badminton lovers. And there were fireworks straight away, both players exhibiting their considerable skills with the score at 8-all.
Incredible.
Lee opened up a big gap mid-game, the Malaysian staving off his arch-rival to draw first blood.
And he converts on his first opportunity.
And Lee was the more consistent of the two, the world #1 soon going up 3 match points in the second.
Defeated the Olympic champion.
A truly remarkable title defence by Lee Chong-wei. His emphatic victory over Lin Dan making his championship win all the more sweeter. The Indian capital of New Delhi was the 4th stop on the 2011 BWF Superseries. This sprawling metropolis holding the key to the fortunes of 1.2 billion Indians. Badminton certainly isn't new to this part of the world. The BWF Yonex Sunrise India Open representing an upward shift for the sport in the country, with the Indian Grand Prix being upgraded to a Super Series event.
I think it's really big. First time Super Series in India. I think it's like a dream for many Indians because before we never used to have such big kind of tournaments. Now we can actually see all the top players coming here, and it's going to be very good for the young, especially young kids.
Saina Nehwal is the pin-up girl for badminton in India. 4 BWF Super Series titles in the last 2 years, elevating her to the top echelons of the world game. While the big silverware has eluded her so far, the 21-year-old has an eye on winning an Olympic medal in London next year. But the top seed wouldn't have it her way on home turf. Nehwal playing an error-strewn match in the first round against Japan's Ai Goto. Great Indian hope being snuffed out early in the tournament. Another young player grabbed at the opportunity to shine through. Thailand's Porntip Buranaprasertsuk fighting off some tough opponents en route to the final. 4th seeded Yip Kui Yin also falling to the teenager. The day of the finals was expected to be full of jangled nerves. 19-year-old Buranaprasertsuk living the dream. Her rival, Bae Yoon-ju, couldn't dent the Thai teenager's confidence. Buranaprasertsuk controlling the match to sit on 4 championship points.
And that's gone long. And the 19-year-old Porntip Buranaprasertsuk Buranaprasertsuk from Thailand has taken her first ever Super Series title in her first ever Super Series tournament final.
The main event of the day was, of course, the men's singles final. The crowd in for a real treat, with Lee Chong-wei taking on Danish veteran Peter Gade. But the world #1 was simply too good. Lee Chong-wei looking to convert 5 match points.
Oh my goodness! What a final rally! What a magnificent final!
A third BWF Super Series title in 2011 for Lee Chong-wei. The Malaysian maestro featuring in all 4 Super Series finals in the season so far. Coming up on Badminton World, the countdown begins to the 2012 London Olympics as the players fight for qualification points in Singapore and Indonesia. That up next. The 5th instalment of the 2011 OSIM BWF Super Series took us to Singapore. This impressive city-state putting on a great show at its state-of-the-art indoor stadium. The Li Ning Singapore Super Series represents the players' first chance to pick up qualification points for the 2012 London Olympics. This tournament acquiring greater importance with all the top players turning up to do battle.
There's no doubt that, I think every player knew that before coming to Singapore and Indonesia, this is the start of the Olympic qualification. Every player knew that this is going to be 2 really, really tough tournaments. And I think that every player sort of, had in mind they wanted to, get off to a good start and get some good points. That means you may be able to take some choices, later in the season. That may be a very good thing.
Thailand's Porntip Buranaprasertsuk had recently clinched the women's singles title at the India Open, making her the first player from her country to win a Super Series title.
I'm happy to be the first women's Super Series champion for my country, but I have to try harder and win more tournaments.
Buranaprasertsuk failed to go past the first round, but there was plenty more high-profile action around. The hugely experienced Peter Gade pitted against Olympic gold medalist Lin Dan in the semi-final. Game 1 produced a few sublime exchanges between 2 of the sport's all-time greats.
Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. How can he do that? That's brilliant.
The Chinese player was soon poised to take the first game when Gade decided to go for the kill. And in a miraculous turnaround, the European champion found himself at game point. Gade winning 6 straight points to prevail in a riveting first game.
Unbelievable! No wonder Peter Gade celebrates.
But Lin fought back to draw level in the second. The all-conquering Chinese sitting on 5 match points in the third.
And he converts 21-15 in the deciding game.
The day of the finals, and the mood in the arena was slightly sullied at the announcement of Lin Dan's withdrawal from the men's singles final. The illness-stricken Olympic champion conceding the Singapore Super Series title to his countryman Chen Jin. The absence of a men's singles final gave a whole new meaning to the women's singles meeting between Tinebao and Wang Jin. Both players trying to win their first Super Series title of the year. But things didn't go well for Bao. The Danish player miraculously saving 4 match points in Game 2 before Jin snuffed out any hopes of a comeback.
And this time she converts. 21-19, 21-17. And Wang Jin.
The Chinese left-hander winning the Singapore Open to increase her tally of Super Series titles to 3. The 6th round of the BWF Super Series brought us to Indonesia. Its capital, Jakarta, one of the foremost badminton destinations in the world. The Djarum Indonesia Super Series Premier is a tournament that's very dear to local legend Taufik Hidayat. The 30-year-old having been crowned champion as many as 6 times. But 2011 has been a tough grind for Hidayat. The former Olympic champion having just the Malaysian Super Series final appearance to show for his efforts.
Ya mungkin
I would say that this year started really well for me. I did well at the Malaysia Open to make the final, and the Korea Open was quite good too. But that's when the level of performance started going down. I didn't feel great at the All England Open, and that showed in the results. The India Open also wasn't good for me. All I want to do right now is to maintain my ranking and earn points so that I qualify for the London 2012 Olympics.
Hidayat would be put to a severe test in his quarter-final against Peter Gade. His 34-year-old opponent securing Game 1, 21-17. And the second game went his way as well. 5th-seeded Gade sitting on 5 match points.
It's going to go long. It is long. And the 34-year-old Dane Peter Gade has beaten the number 3 seed Taufik Hidayat.
Over to the finals in Indonesia. The crowd's welcoming a familiar face from the last 2 seasons. India's Saina Nehwal eyeing a hat-trick of titles in Jakarta. Her opponent, Wang Yihan, had other plans. The 23-year-old saving a match point before turning the screws in the 3rd. Yihan storming home to take the title.
Wang Yihan has taken the deciding game 21-14 to win her first Indonesian Open title. And the dream of 3 consecutive Indonesian Open titles for Saina Nehwal is over.
You know, I think it was not my day, but otherwise very happy that beat few of the top players in this tournament and did very well against Wang Yihan. And yeah, 3rd time finals, very happy. Hopefully next time I win again.
In the men's singles final, Denmark's Peter Gade was desperate to strike gold against Lee Chong-wei. But he had to counter some truly breathtaking badminton in the first game. The Malaysian drawing first blood at 21-11. Game number 2 had some more sensational stroke play on offer. Lee motoring away to a massive lead thanks to rallies like this one at 17-4.
18-4.
Gade was completely outplayed on the day. The world #1 player mere seconds away from a famous win. Lee winning his 3rd Indonesian Open title in as many years.
There is no doubting in anybody's minds, surely, that Lee Chong-wei is the best badminton player at the moment.
And on that note, we wrap up our mid-season review of the 2011 OSIM BWF Super Series. Watch this space for all the badminton action you can handle, with 6 more mega tournaments yet to come. And you can now log on to the BWF's official live streaming channel hosted by YouTube, the world's largest online video community. Just type in badmintonworld.tv for all the live badminton action from around the planet. Also enjoy access to a feast of match highlights, behind-the-scenes footage and player profiles on the online version of the Badminton World magazine show. All this only on badmintonworld.tv.